Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel. I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This is season 6, episode 4. Another good episode. I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Like this video. You can also subscribe if you are new. All are welcome. You can share it in this video, and you can leave your comments below. All right, so let's get into this week's episode. Okay, all right. So this was a true to be continued episode. We start off where Whitney did walk off, and then she had to come back because production wasn't having that. She didn't get another moment during the rest of what was going on with Lisa. So I don't care, because whatever. She got triggered by what? I don't know. She went online last week talking about, oh, now that I've seen the episode, I know what she was actually saying. But at the same time, she was saying that she was defending all redheads, and I'm like, shut up. I understand that you wanted to stand up for your daughter. I don't know if you're going to say that at some point during the season. I remember, I think a couple months earlier, you said that you were dyeing your hair red in solidarity of your daughter, who I think has been picked on because of her red hair. Do that, but I just don't understand why you're triggered. And I know I understand that you're fighting for your child. It doesn't make any sense that you are doing all what you did. But anyways, enough about her. Lisa and Angie finally have it out. Because, you know, Angie was the one that started talking about the whole Jen Shaw crap, which I thought was just stupid and dumb. And she wanted to add her 2 cents, in which I felt like was just some type of way to get a soundbite that just was just dumb. She said that she shouldn't have done it, da-da-da-da-da, whatever. I don't even know how their discussion started, but somehow Lisa got in on what Angie owns. And as far as her business that she has, Lisa claims that they only own 1.5 of the franchise that she does have. And Angie's like, no, we actually own 3. You're the one that's been talking about 10, so what is it? Da, 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 da. So I did kind of just Google a little bit even last night in regards to that. She has 10 altogether salons. But she did explain in this episode that her and her husband own 3 salons, and then it's been franchised out. I think that that's an accomplishment, Lisa, and I just don't understand why you think you're just so up here. I think if you didn't have any type of celebrity connection, you would actually be shutting your mouth right now, because you just talk out your gums for no reason. It just doesn't make sense. Stuff doesn't land because you think that you are better than everyone, and you're not. Okay, you got celebrity connection. Heather has Rihanna in her DMs. And I think even Angie has her in her DMs. I think at this point, or was it Monica? I don't know which one. But I mean, okay, that's nice. Your business still doesn't really, I don't understand it. I still don't. So no one got in the comments and explained to me either. So I don't know. Anyways, so as they're going forth, now that Angie feels like Lisa's taking a dig at her businesses, now she's taking a dig at Lisa's business, which is the hair product that she has in Angie's salon, which is her son's, basically. But, you know, I think that she has the product in there, I think, whatever. So she's saying, well, I don't even understand why your product, which is C-list, is even in my store. You don't even come and try to market it and all that stuff, but you're too busy trying to get deals with Keratos. I think that's how you say it. And all that, and I don't understand why you're pushing your business. I already have a deal with Keratos, or whatever you call it. And I'm like, okay, so you went on to shade a business that is really in her son's name like that, but you get so out of hand when people start talking about your husband being possibly queer or having queer tendencies and stuff like that. So it's just like, for some reason, you think that I don't think Angie loves to go low and cut, but a lot of her stuff doesn't really land with me. It's just like these kind of sharp little reads sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's funny, but it's just like, so you went that far in the gutter because Lisa did that about your business when you know all she is just an arrogant, you know what, da 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 da. Even though you can say what you want about, oh, she's just like Jen Shaw, da 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 da. And Lisa wants to come back, and now you think you need to go harder. Why? I don't know. I just didn't understand it. And she said, you're about fries, and I'm about franchise. And Mary was like, what? Well, what did she say? And then Heather told her, and she's like, ooh, that was good. I don't know. Even though I respect Mary, I don't even know if that was a good read or not. And I think the fries thing is because she's got a partnership with Wendy's, I think. But, or maybe it's because of her restaurant. I don't know. But anyways, at this point, Heather jumps in and she just was able to moderate and to get things to a calm place. Because at this point, when Lisa feels like she's losing and and people won't back down from her, she starts yelling and like, and that's when we're like, no, you lose us, Lisa, every time that you can't really control your emotions and they go super wacky all the time. And I think that you need to really work on that, because I think you could possibly have valid points, but it just goes out the window when you start being foolish in your delivery and your emotions. So Heather just brings it home. I think that you guys just do too much to each other. And Lisa, I love you, and I'm friends with you. Andy, I love you, but y'all just do too much, basically. So then at this point, I think Lisa was like, about, you know, when I try to be vulnerable, and Mary said, no, you're not vulnerable, and the others did agree too. So she said, okay. She starts to cry, and then she starts letting out her feelings, like, see, I'm trying to be vulnerable. I don't think that you needed that at that moment, but I think because of how you feel so attacked at your own dinner that you set up to try to defend yourself that was really a flop, I don't think you really needed to say that. But anyways, just be it and do it. Just be it and do it, ma'am. So she goes in and says to Angie, like, look, I love you, and I love you hard, and I push you hard. And I think she also said that about Heather, or she may have said that, the pushing part for Heather, pushing hard part. But anyways, I love you hard, and then when things happen to me, you say things to me, I really want to hurt you back. And then Angie had the same sentiments. Anyways, at that point, they apologized to each other, and because they're trying to figure out what went wrong, because I thought that we were on a good place, But the Jen Shaw comment was just crazy. You shouldn't have said that, Angie. You started this. But I just feel like with Angie, she's gotten a pass with some of her stuff that she says. And then it's just like, oh, I regret it later on. That's just someone that I've had to watch. I know everybody was loving her, and shout out to Miss Bell Perspective, because I'm like, I'm seeing some inauthenticity out of her. I'm not seeing the authentic out of her totally. I don't dislike her, but at the same time, it's just, well, how could y'all not catching that? All because y'all so excited, because it just seems like she's got these reads that are just gonna plummet people. And it was just So shout out to you, ma'am, because everything comes back full circle. And we'll talk about more Angie at the end of this episode too. Because for me, I'm a type of person that would just have to sit and wait to prove my points, and then I can say, Anyways, so her and Brown, they basically had come to terms that they're gonna have to sit down. Brown was like, look, until we come to the place that we both hurt each other and did all this stuff, then there's no reason for a conversation. So yeah, we're done with that scene. It looks like there was a lot of kumbaya. Again, Whitney didn't have another shot with her, which is cool with me. I don't know what the next scene was. I don't think I'm going to go in order, because I can't remember what the scene was. Who was next? Well, there was a lot of what I call interludes. Meredith is at her shop. She's with Seth and also her middle child, Chloe. And there's plans for renovations and her future plans of what she's going to do with her space that she does have. The first part of her shop is going to be with jewelry, and in the back is going to be a caviar lounge. And they were talking about doing some, like adding another level on top, like some type of attic. And they had a little funny moment where Seth was trying to get to the attic and saying what's going to be up there and all that good stuff. Then another interlude with Whitney and Justin. Whitney was like, I think she's just basically trying to restructure her life. And she wants to go back to the times where she was the interesting mom that had a stripper pole. She was the talk of the town, and she went off beat trying to be a CEO, of course, because we don't take you serious, and we still don't take you serious. So she had a little, and I'm saying it this way, I'm not calling her that, so don't say that I am. She had a little slutty moment with her husband, and a seductive moment, I'll put it that way. Going back, I guess she's going to refresh her brand back to the old. That's probably what is going to work best for you in order to keep that flow because people still hang on to that and still give you passes for the dumb ish that you do on every season since you decided to be CEO. Yeah. So going back to that, so I guess people can tolerate you better. I don't know. Then we get another interlude where Mary and Heather are meeting for something, lunch or something, and they start talking about what happened the previous day with the whole Lisa meeting. Mary didn't drink her tequila. Heather was like, I took your tequila, I think Brittany's tequila, da-da-da-da-da. And she said that she was more drunk than what she usually is. And she was saying that, I think Mary was saying like the tequila, she doesn't like tequila because it tastes like hospital. And then we get a flashback of what started this whole franchise off. And that was with Mary. We find out from Shawshank that Mary said, you smell like hospital. And that started the whole feud, and we just fell in love with the series, with that franchise, you know. So that was cool. A good little wink back to the old days. Mary. We visit her church. The church has been closed down for 2 years due to renovations. I think also they had COVID going on. Then there was some other legal stuff happening. But I'm telling you, I do not even like dealing with these fan pages that claim that they got all this access to what's going on behind the scenes of these shows. Because one of the fan pages said that there's a church that they are now in Indianapolis, or Indiana, I'll say that much. I'm like, okay, because they were supposed to have lost this church and now they're in Indiana for church. That's why I've been saying one of my reasons is that I just really want to restructure how I really consume media and how I interact even on media sometimes. Anyways, but the church is back open. Mary's spotting some blemishes that just need to be worked on. Her cousin, I forgot his name, was it Joseph? You can tell that he's close with Mary. After talking about the renovations, they talk about Junior. What is his name? Junior. I can't even remember his name. Anyways, and she says that, you know, because he asked, you know, how he's doing. It's like, he's doing okay. He's doing the best that he can at this moment. And it seems like that we've gotten closer since what has happened to him. I noticed she said something about, you know, that she felt bad that now that she's close with him when she could have been close now. But anyways, I think she said that she feels everything now that he tells her everything that's going on. But the other dude, the cousin, was saying, you know, how much he affirms her. He's like, that's a smart kid, yeah, so they had a little touching moment there. And then they talk about her grandmother. It's always been the plan that, and we've been talking about that since season 1, Mary was supposed to get the church. But Mary's mother thought she was supposed to get it. So whatever happened, whatever. But they just talked about how bad things got between her and her mother. Where there was a time during a church service, she thought that she was going to have some type of hostile takeover. Like, this is mine, It was supposed to be mine and not my daughter's. The police were called, and somebody left the premises, and I think it was her. And since then, she's gone on interviews, even with the blogger that was a part of last season's, Ish, Up and Adam. He's a YouTuber. Interviewed them, Mary and her husband, Mary's mother and her husband, trying to say all this stuff and just now pinning everything back on Senior. I don't know why I can't think of his name, but anyway. I remember that interview. And I'm like, season 2 was a lot for me. And it really changed my perception on watching the show and seeing this type of witch hunt against Mary. And I wasn't going for it. I was not going for it. So, yeah. So he did an interview with the mother. And the mother looks just like Mary. So, yeah. Yeah, but he was a part of Whitney's storyline last season that he ended up turning his back on her. Remember when she was saying that a blogger, which was Up and Adam, said that it was Lisa that did all this stuff to her business. Anyways, of course, the mother did pass away a couple of months when they started filming. And she said, you know, things kind of became full circle. It was just like kind of this end of a chapter in her life, because now that God has taken her away from the earth. All I'm going to say right now is that I feel Mary, and there are some similarities that I have with Mary, and that's all I'm willing to talk about right now. But anyways, yeah, okay. So Yeah, she acknowledged her mother's death. I know that would have been a topic. Now, I have not seen many bots since Mary's been back. I don't know. I'm not in the Twitter streets like that, but I don't see all that same type of added bots that were always speaking negative. Everybody was talking about their ex-church members and people that have dealt with Mary, and soon you will know the truth. That's kind of ceased now, from what I know. But hey, so we're gonna move on from there. I kind of just chatted way too much about that. Brown and her mammy. And Brown. Wait, this is gonna be Brown centric for a while. I should have went there. Brown and Lisa, they have a talk. And really, they just came to the conclusion that some things that we did to each other unintentional, and other things that we did intentionally to try to hurt each other. And they were able to communicate like adults, y'all. I was like, yeah. Because you can tell that there was at least some type of respect. Because I think what Brown said is that we can be neutral. So how Lisa was talking about Angie when she was trying to make amends with her at her event is not the same way she was talking about with Brown. So there isn't that close bond that she has with Angie opposed to Brown. However, there is some type of mutual respect because they have known each other for quite some time. But yeah, I loved it. They're not going to talk about the husbands nor the children. And Brown said, no, I never talked about your children, da-da-da-da-da. But yeah, that's off limits. So we're going to see how it goes. I don't think that Brown was going to renege on that. I can see Lisa doing that, but we shall see. I'll go back. What am I going to do? Angie. And then I'll go back. No, I'll do Brown. Brown and her mom. Brown comes in, I think, from wherever. They're at the house. Her daughter Gwen and boyfriend, they are going to go bowling. And we're finding out that it's private time, and it looks like they're going off to go have sex. Brown did say something regarding to Lisa about her parents. About her mom saying that, I wish I was a grandmother before I was a mom, because she's starting to admit that she was too hard on Brown growing up. Anyways, after Gwen leaves and all that stuff, they were starting talking about that, and they were talking about different parenting skills. She feels like, the mammy feels like she did do the right thing because she thinks that strictness is what is going to do the right things, I guess. I don't know, that will produce the right things out of a child. And Brown was like, you really think that all worked? Because I'm less lenient on my child. At least I'm allowing her to communicate with me, and she's not hiding and sneaking and having sex. Because the way that you parent me, I went around sneaking around having sex, and I ended up getting pregnant. And then you shamed me for it. I'm paraphrasing right now, but basically that's what it is. You shamed me for it. You made me feel a certain type of way about me getting pregnant. My sister, who was pregnant, I'm assuming that she was probably married and all that good stuff. She did it the biblical way, or whatever the Mormons read. I don't know if they got Bibles, but whatever they do. They did it the religious way. And it brought shame to the family because also Brown's father was working for the church. Even though Brown was not an official PK, she was basically treated like a PK. I hate that for her. I hate that for her, that she had to really experience that. She talked about an experience of when the mammy was going shopping for baby stuff. Brown was there. I think she was already pregnant, and also the sister was pregnant at the same time. The cashier or the sales lady was like, oh, you're going to get something. Is this something for you? As far as what she's saying for Brown. And the mammy said, no, I would never get anything for her. Or something to that nature. I think I'm a little bit off, but basically, I'm not getting that for her. I'm getting it for her. Made her feel really bad. But she still thinks that she's right. But that's how those old school people are. They just don't, they're trifling. They are trifling. And they just think that their way is right. And don't be religious, because that's even a double stubbornness and pride that's on them. Crazy. Brown, I'm not going to call you a fool, but I will say that you should really redirect your mama someplace else. She can go get her own place. If you want to go fund that over there, there's no way you're going to be up in my house and saying all the stuff that you say. No. Yeah. The last scene we got, well, we got two scenes. Now we're going to go into Angie. I should have broke them up, but whatever. Angie's in her salon, and invites Heather there. Angie's trying to get her cosmetology license that has elapsed for some time ago. So she has to practice on different mannequins' heads. So she's practicing on Heather's. And she says that she's going to give her a perm. And all that. And like, Heather's like, I will say this. I think her hair will probably look nice the way that Angie was about to do it, because Heather kind of like keeps her hair the same way all the time, and just like, okay, can you do a little bit something else with it? But anyway, when she gets there, they start talking about the event, and anyways, Angie detours it to Lisa. Lisa has assigned her assistant to come to the shop to come pick up the Wolf product. That's her son's product that's in the store. And she ends up finding out on a text that Lisa had Venmo'd her money, like $600. And she said, I come to pick up my stuff, and here's $600, because we don't want it to be, I think she said something along the lines of, we don't want your salon to be dusty. Angie took that as an insult. Even though we're finding out that Angie had the product sitting in the back, you weren't even selling it. So what are you so offended? This is the thing that's really weird to me. Why are you offended? You already dropped the items from even being marketed at your store because of whatever you got going on with Lisa. So then at that point, she gave her a dig, like, what are you talking about? My place is not dusty. You should really be putting that $600 and paying back the people that claim that you owe. And I think Lisa said something about, well, at least I don't have to borrow money to go on vacation, Angie said that she was just taking a straight dig. She's taking whatever is being dug about her and putting it back on her, like projecting and all that stuff. But is it true? She says, I have my own credit card. I can go on vacation, Okay. I think Heather did say something, but I don't think it really mattered that much because Angie's on her own thing. Again, I don't understand why Angie's offended. You already took the products off the shelf. Oh, Heather said, well, when you start talking about the kids, that could really be something. You could really start a fire. And Angie was like, I didn't talk about a kid. You did talk about the product, and then you tried to diminish the product. And Lisa felt some type of way about that. And again, you took the items off the shelf, so Meredith and Angie, they go out to dinner someplace or whatever. They go out to eat. They're trying to make things work after like 3 seasons of being at war. Angie decides to really be shady and messy and unnecessary shady and messy, saying that, when we were really going at it, Lisa was telling me to Google this person, look up that person that and bring that up whenever you are in an altercation or a fight with, or in a spar with you. I wouldn't do that because that's not my character and all that, And Meredith's like, well, why would she tell you to do something while we were still on good terms? Me and Lisa were on good terms. And then, also, why wouldn't it be a direct hit towards me? Why would she try to use other people? So Meredith isn't believing it. And she says that, I'm going to go back to Lisa and talk about it. And Angie's like, sure, go ahead and do it. So there's going to be another brawl next week between Lisa and Angie. This is my thing. Angie, you are reaching. But I am so glad that right now you really can't be just looked over at the BS that you be coming with sometimes. I don't dislike you, but I think that you're sneaky. And I think that some of your stuff it goes over people's heads and it's not checked. Maybe they don't want to really hear all of the digs that you like because you just go dirty really low, really fast. Yeah. And also another thing. If Brown and Lisa can sit down and they can understand each other, and Heather can't do it with Brown, no. It's just Heather don't like that girl. As we said before, but now it's evident. It's evident. But anyways, yeah. Y'all can have y'all good eye on Angie. I don't know if y'all will because y'all wanted her to be the fan favorite, and then fan favorites get passes for the behavior and stuff that they do. But anyways, I've been kind of just looking at her crazy sometimes at the stuff that she does. But I'm glad that it's evident and nobody can really just look past it. But y'all tell me your thoughts on this episode. I think it was productive. I think this series is the best series. They know how to handle conflict with resolution. Angie just did something to stir up trouble for no reason. However, there were some resolutions and they were able to move past things. And I think this franchise is supreme. They're not being caught up in the sauce, meaning they're not sitting up here loving all the fame. Loving all the fame and then being lazy. That's what happened on Atlanta. And I know a lot of people will get mad at me for saying it, but that's what happened. They got lazy and got caught up in it, even though they didn't even really get the accolades that I think that they should have had. However, they did. They started smelling their selves and then got lost in the sauce and got lazy, and now it's kind of down there at the bottom.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I forgot one thing to talk about. Brittany and Whitney, they do meet up, and they just come together to make amends. In regards to Brittany felt like she should not have went after her business, and Whitney felt like she shouldn't have done that, what she did as far as taking her dig on her, blah, 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 blah. So they got that squashed, and now she starts talking about Whitney, about her and Jared working on getting back to being engaged. And she's like, well, wait a minute, I thought y'all just got unengaged. Yeah, but we're going to do it again. Now, the fool just already said a couple episodes ago, I think it was episode 1, I'm not in love, I just love her. Y'all said that y'all broke up because the children are not for it. Yet, her child Olivia says that I need you to stop dating in order for us to even try to reconnect. Because your altar, your idol, is men, and choosing them over us. Whitney was trying to get through to her on so many levels, like, can't you at least take a month off of dating and all that? Well, she's not even talking to me. I don't think I could really do that. She asked you one simple request, and you couldn't do that. You don't want to do that because you need to spend time developing or redeveloping, healing the relationship that you wrecked. And it's not important to you. A man that does not care about you is important to you. That's basically using you for his pleasures. And you're using him too. I'm sure it's great clout to have an Osmond on your arm. And it's just great clout to just have a man on your arm. And you are pathetic, lady. I don't have any type of gentleness with you. You are trash. And if Olivia never speaks to you again, I will not blame her. And you're always going to be known as someone that'll put a man before your own children. Wendy says, you know, she really dealt with her very gently and saying, I hope you feel this. And Brittany's like, yeah, I feel this. You didn't feel that. You still gonna go on your way chasing after, I don't even think it's about the D, because somebody was like, oh, the D is just so good. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I think it's for clout. But yeah, you're the type of person that does not deserve children and never should have had children. And yes, I mean that, and I don't care. They're gifts, and you are destroying the gifts. You are disrespecting the gifts that God gave you. I had to have that part on. Y'all do with it as you must or will. I ain't changing on that because she's trash.
But anyways, that's all I gotta say. Tell me what you thought of everything. Talk about the mammy, please. Talk about Angie, please. All that good stuff. And until the next one, like, comment, subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.